This is a story about how Chewbacca and Mala met. Hi, my name's Lumparoo, and my life is kind of crazy.
Since we were talking about workaholics, I was really thinking about why they're on the roof so much, and it hit me. Drinking roof is free because it's on the house.
What do you call a fish with no eyes?
I got no idea. Oh.
No, stop.
Welcome to the Council of Nerds.
Welcome.
Dan.
The Council of Nerds.
I said fish.
I know. But you said no eyes, and I was like, oh, it's like that joke. Oh, that's beautiful, boys.
That was probably one of our worst intros.
I love that when I try to do a dumb joke, Dan still manages to overshadow the entire event. Like he's the king.
Edit it out.
I'm
He's
not
the
even gonna
king.
edit it out.
No, that's beautiful.
I'm
That's
pretty
gold.
sure
that's content.
That's definitely our worst intro because I think I even
worst?
mispronounced
The one I
Chewbacca's
forgot?
son's name.
Well, it is what it is.
It happened.
It is what it is.
Welcome to the Council of Nerds. We are said council. My name's Brian, joined always by Logan and
Hi.
Dan.
Hello.
You can find us anywhere podcasts are available, but specifically Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, as well as Anchor, and anyone else like Podbean, those kind of random smaller ones. We're probably on there as well. We do have a Discord as well. Link to said Discord, the Council of Nerds Discord, is in our Instagram account, the Council of Nerds Instagram account. Follow us, join the community. It's a quiet
Love
community.
us.
But we try to keep it heavy with memeage and do what we can to spread the good word of the nerd. So,
Ooh, that's good. Oh,
Did
right.
you just make that up?
write
Did you have
that
that
down.
planned?
That's
No,
gotta
I
be
just
a
thought
sign
I
off.
just thought of that. I just thought of
Wow.
that. Welcome to the genius that is my mind.
Wow.
Wow, I feel like we just need to change the name of the podcast now to
Well,
the word of the nerd.
no,
That just
no.
let's not go crazy.
I think it's a sign off or a sign on, but no, we're not changing the name.
But welcome. We're doing another installment of our Mandalorian episodes, as well as updating progress on Assassin's Creed Valhalla. We are on chapter 13, and I have to say I liked it more than I thought that I was going to on the outset. But yeah, let's turn it to the community here. Logan, I know that you probably have the strongest opinion.
I don't know if I have the strongest, but I do have opinions. To make clear first off, the episode was good. Like the
Yes.
story, I loved the dark, eerie vibe of everything. There was kind of like this weird eerie silence like the whole time. And I really liked that a lot. I liked what it did to like further the story for also, guys, everyone, spoiler alert if you're in it, you know the whole spiel.
You know the thing.
I do have an opinion on the name Grogu. And it's kind of like a 50-50 sort of thing. But I do like that. I like how they kind of furthered that. I like the history of the child and stuff. I like that whole thing.
Yes.
I did not like Ahsoka for many reasons. And this is like a super unpopular opinion across the Star Wars fandom right now, apparently. I am totally singled out. I did not like... She did a great job with her stance, like her fighting stance. It was very Ahsoka. And I'll even say there were like movements in her voice that were very Ahsoka. But it was not Ahsoka to me. The character, I was speaking with some other friends I have who we were talking about the episode the other day. Whoa, my voice just cracked like I was 13. Wow. But one of my friends said like the way they made Ahsoka, she was kind of dull. She wasn't she was kind
A
of a
bit,
dull
she was a bit
character.
muted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it wasn't. That's just not Ahsoka, and to me, and a lot of people are gonna hate this opinion, but Rosario Dawson did a great job. She like for what she could do, it was a great job. But to me, I've said it in the past few episodes. It's just Ashley Eckstein's voice is just it's Ahsoka, and the way she portrays it is so good. And I also they got her head tentacle things wrong, and that kind of bothered me. They're not as
Hmm.
long on the top as they should be, and technically not as long down low, hanging down. That really bothered me as well. Um, and then the last thing that really bothered me with this whole episode is, and this is I'm just guessing, the episode to me kind of seemed like a setup for a live action Ahsoka series
Yeah.
Mm,
because this it could go like two ways with what they told us, right? And I think both ways are I'm not a huge fan of. A live action Ahsoka series, I'm not a fan of because I love Ahsoka as an animated character. So I'd be fine with just an animated Ahsoka series. I think it'd be more fun. We get Ashley Eckstein, and the story would be really cool. So I feel like it's a setup, which I think is a mistake because it's like completely taking away from the Mandalorian, right?
sure.
Like that whole idea. It's like, okay, but
Mhm.
why do we have to use this show for the Mandalorian to set up another show? I don't like that. And then the other way it could go is they continue this story with Ahsoka trying to find Grand Admiral Thrawn, and then we're completely taking away from the Mandalorian because everyone's going to be like, well, I care way more about Ahsoka and Grand Admiral Thrawn because I do. I definitely do. I love that story.
Mhm.
And if they do that, that's a complete mistake because I really like the Mandalorian and the story that they've created. And so that's something I was like, I like Thrawn a lot, and I was like, oh, that's cool. But at the same time, I was really bummed, and I just wish it didn't happen. I don't know. I found it to be a mistake. A lot of people loved it, but a lot of those people are like, oh, they can do anything and I'll be happy. And it's like, okay, but they can make mistakes. It is a thing.
Yeah. I will say for my money, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Like, I've seen Rosario Dawson in a lot of things, and she doesn't like. My initial thought was that's not very like the things I've seen her in don't breed like they don't seem to me very Ahsoka-ish.
Yeah.
I've never seen her in an action capacity either, so that was like I've seen her in a lot of dramatic roles and things like that, which she's great. She's a good actress. It's just I've never seen her in an action sequence. But like
Yeah.
you said, she did really well
Yeah.
with what she was given. And then she opened her mouth. So
Not saying like, well, then she talked, but it was just she actually
it wasn't
did
the
do.
voice.
She did a fairly good job trying to portray Ahsoka with her voice.
And I was gonna.
You can only go so far.
That's what I was right. I was gonna say like, when she first started talking, I was like, well, that's not that bad. Like,
Yeah.
kudos. Like maybe that's why she got the part because she went into audition and she was somewhat close to like the adult kind of voiced Ahsoka Tano in the Rebels series, which is different than younger, but whatever. Same voice, but it's just of course older.
Mhm.
But I think the story itself was very interesting. There are things that I really, really, I mean, overall, like you said, the episode was really good.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. And I was giddy when I heard her mention Thrawn because I was like, I was right. Like in my head, I was like I was so excited that like, it's always nice when things you think might happen and you feel psychic and crap. So, I mean, I don't know how I feel about the name Grogu.
Yeah.
Grogu. That's it. Grogu.
Oh, I have some 2 cents on that, but you can continue your thought.
It makes me think of like, I don't know. It makes me think of like an orc. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just
like a goblin or something.
Grogu the
Yeah.
Defiler. Like, it's
Yeah.
just like, it's like, it's not very, I don't know. We know Yoda and Yaddle and a few other like legends, like I guess one other significant legend of that species. And and not all of them start with Y or anything, but their
Yeah.
names are fairly short. I don't know. It just didn't breed that kind of. I don't know. It just seemed wrong. Like it just didn't fit for me.
Yeah.
But I don't
Mhm.
mind it. I did like I was like, oh, cool. He actually has a name. Like,
Yeah.
and that was fine for me. I don't care. Like they could have named Obi-Wan Purple Guy, like something dumb, and he'd still be
Purple people
Obi-Wan.
eater.
Like what I
Yeah.
mean? Like he would still be who he is.
So-
So like he's still the child, and he's still great, and I love his adorableness. Minus the new noise he was making in this episode, sounded kind of like a frog croak,
Yeah.
like, and I was like,
So,
okay, but
that goes along with my 2 cents. I think Grogu's a fine name. It's like whatever. Star Wars makes weird names, and so like what you were saying with they could have named Obi-Wan Purple Guy from the beginning, and it would have been fine. I think
Purple
they
guy.
made the mistake of waiting a season and a half.
hashtag Purple Guy.
Yeah. I think they made the mistake to wait a season and a half to name this guy because for a season and a half we've been calling him Baby Yoda or the Child. And so in our
Yeah.
minds
Mhm.
we're all like Baby Yoda or the Child and we're all like super fine with it. And then Grogu comes in and we're like, that's kind of weird. And like I don't mind the name too much just because it's like, well, at least he has a name. I figured he was going to have a name. Like his name wasn't always going to be the Child, and it's not going to be Baby Yoda. And so I don't know. I understand, but I also get why people aren't going to like it because we're just used to this other thing. If they would have done it from
Mhm.
an earlier episode, I think it would have been a lot better. And then I also want to say I think it's really weird because Yaddle is canon because she's in I think episode 1 or 2, maybe both.
Yeah.
Phantom Menace.
Yeah. Ahsoka says that she only knew of one other species like him, and she said Yoda. But Ahsoka was
Yeah.
around when Yoda or Yaddle was around. So why did she just mention Yoda and not be like, oh, I knew of 2 other species, Yoda and Yaddle?
Well,
Because
do we know
Yaddle
that
was
for
on the
sure?
council. Well,
Could Yaddle
she-
have left by then? Because we don't see her in the because when we know Ahsoka, it's Clone Wars.
Mhm.
Like the Clone Wars are in full swing,
Let me do
right?
some
Maybe
research.
Yaddle had left the council by then.
But
I
Yeah,
don't
the
know.
only
I don't know the
time-
timeline.
But for the most
the
part,
only time you see,
You don't leave the council though, right? Like you it's like a life calling kind of thing, isn't
that's
it?
what I thought. But also, like, even if you're not in the council, all the Jedi seem to know, like, all the Jedi. Especially
Mhm.
higher up Jedi. And if
Yeah.
Ahsoka's hanging out with Anakin and Obi-Wan all the time, she's gonna be with these higher up Jedi more often. I don't know. I'll look it up. I'll research.
Mhm.
But
I think the way that they revealed his name was kind of interesting. The whole like, is he talking? Like he's just like
Yeah.
kind of frustrated, and he's like, "Is he talking to you? Like, what's going on?" She's like, "Kind of. Like we can feel each other's thoughts." And I thought that was kind of an interesting thing because we've seen things like that in the past, where whether it's Obi-Wan in A New Hope, through the Force, communicating with Luke to use the Force to shoot his, bombs into the Death Star or whatever, or any form of kind of telepathic communication that it's feeling through the Force. I think that concept is really interesting because for me it showed that Grogu has power. Like
Yeah.
he is a significantly strong with the Force entity of some regard. And then it also gave credence to the whole first episode when it's like, well, the Puck said he was 50, when Ahsoka said he's been trained by many masters over the years, So it's like, yeah, well, he's clearly been around for a while. If he's had more than one master, he's been around for a good while.
that history was
but-
really cool to learn, in my opinion.
Yeah, but then I
Mhm.
was really sad to hear that he had to like squash his powers down to survive, and he's
It's-
just terrified.
Reminds me of Harry Potter Fantastic Beasts with the
Mhm.
what do they call those? Obscurials or whatever?
Oh, the Obscurus.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Obscurus. That's interesting. I do think the part that was really interesting to me was him relaying to Ahsoka and then finding out that his memory is basically blank after
Yeah,
he gets
she
taken
says
from the temple.
It goes dark or something like that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
for me, it's like that feels like someone wiped his memory.
You know,
That's what it feels like to me.
Well, what I'm trying to figure out from what she was saying too is what after the purge of the Jedi, was one of the Jedi masters charged with taking him and making sure he wasn't killed, or
Right.
was he like stolen? Was he kidnapped or or
Hmm.
something like that? Because and then he was put in this little, maybe his memory is literally dark because he was in that little pod thing for
For
so
the whole
long.
time.
And so
Yeah.
his memories are just basically dark because he doesn't like he's not seeing much. Like maybe he gets like little
Interesting.
things here and there, but I don't
That's an
know.
interesting thought too, because the purge happened so fast
Yeah.
that, I mean, and that's the reason why they were able to take the temple, because the Jedi weren't ready. And so, was there like a back pocket guy that Yoda phoned up because he was the most in tune with what was going on, saying you need to get this specific child, you need to get Grogu out of there because of whatever reason he's going to be vital down the line for either the continuity of Yoda's species or for significance force wise.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting. And who would it have been? Like who's really unaccounted for that we haven't heard about, or are we going to hear about someone new out there that will be cropped up for the show that we hadn't heard? Either we don't know who he is, like we've never heard of this specific master in canon yet, or it's a master that we had all thought was dead and now canon wise at least survived the initial purge to get Grogu out of there. Be interesting.
If they put Luke in this show, I'm done. I am so done. I
don't think it's gonna be Luke.
I was done with Luke after like episode 7 when he appeared for 4 seconds. Like I am so done with the Skywalkers. Leave them out. Just get rid of them. They're in the past. And if it's Luke, I'm just done. Why don't they just bring in like a Force Ghost of Yoda
Mace
for
Windu.
this? It would kind of work. No, not Mace Windu.
Be interesting. I think that there's not at least we haven't been demonstrated that the Force ghosts can stay around for a significantly long time. At least to those, the longest we've seen a Force ghost interact with someone was with Luke, and it was the ghost of Yoda interacting with Luke in episode 8 for that significant amount of time. That seemed to be the longest period that a Force ghost stayed around, and I think that has to do in turn with Luke being as strong as he was in the Force. But I still am holding out hope that if they go and put him on this rock on the temple and all this stuff, and he reaches out in the Force, that the Jedi who responds, I'm still holding out hope it will be Ezra Bridger. Because we know that Admiral Thrawn has been mentioned, and the last time we saw Thrawn, he was with Bridger. So possibly that's what brings Bridger back into it.
But
he's the only other Jedi
I have a big butt
out there.
I have a big butt.
You do have a big butt.
Cal
You have a big butt.
Kestis.
Cal Kestis would be cool.
That's
actually.
true.
I'd
That'd be really
totally
dope.
down.
I'm not.
That was a really
They
good
even
point.
have an actor who looks like him.
Yeah,
That
well,
was
like they
really-
did
that'd be
motion
really
capture and
cool.
everything with him. They designed the
And
character
then-
completely after him.
Jedi Fallen Order 2, you can play as Grogu.
My big butt with Ezra Bridger though is honestly okay. I really like Cal Kestis as well. That would be cool, but again, I just keep coming back to why don't we just focus on the Mandalorian? Like, why do we have to keep throwing in all these characters from other things that we already know and love? Why can't the Mandalorian sort of be its own thing? And I think it just keeps getting taken away. The spotlight kind of keeps getting taken away from Mando and the child from these things coming in. Like we still have Boba Fett to deal with, and we still have, we have Ahsoka. Is she gonna come back, or is that the one episode she's in that's set up for her own series or something? I don't know, and I'm kind of just wanting it to be its own thing still.
I know, and that's hard because at least, and that's what I was talking about. Like, could it possibly be a Jedi we haven't heard of, right? That, or a master that, and it might be that master that hid Grogu in the first place, and he's still out there somewhere. Because it's hard because what we have, there's so much that establishes Star Wars to this point that if they you can't please everyone with picking already existing characters, because you'll have, like Logan was saying, I want it to be its own identity. I want it to have its own feel. I want Mando to be the spotlight of the show. But part of the story is this is a force sensitive kid and we need to find a Jedi to train him. That's now part of the core of the story of the show. So now you're stuck with, do we pick someone who's already been established and alienate the people who want it to be a unique identified show? Or do we pick someone who's no one's ever heard of to this point and say this was someone who survived the purge and yada yada yada, that will piss off all these purists that will say you can't just do that. You can't just come up with some new person. So I feel like they're kind of stuck in an interesting spot now where no matter which way they go, someone's going to be upset about it. But I think for me, I would love to see a new person that will not take away because of their star power or whatever, like they're a top A-list Star Wars character. It won't take away from what's already going on.
I have an answer to our Yaddle conundrum.
Cool.
Apparently, Yaddle, they don't do it justice because they don't even mention it, but Yaddle died in 26 BBY. I think the Clone Wars began in 32 BBY. And Ahsoka did not become a Padawan until... That doesn't make sense in my brain. Okay, basically, it basically made it so Ahsoka had become a Padawan after Yaddle died. So,
Gotcha.
I mean, she was probably living at the Jedi Temple before she was 14 for some basic training.
To be a youngling.
Yeah, so I think the answer is just Yaddle was dead. She sacrificed her life to save like a planet or something like that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
My question is, this episode of The Mandalorian, right? It's called The Jedi, but Ahsoka isn't a Jedi.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of confused on why it's called The Jedi.
And
Well,
she's made that
Grogu.
known.
Grogu was at least trained, so he could have. I mean, he's probably still classified as a youngling, even though he's 50 years old. But maybe it's referencing him.
Yeah, that is interesting. Because she's made note of it, right? Like in Rebels, she says, "I am no Jedi," when she fights Vader. I don't know. The episode had some really cool details. I didn't know this until after I watched the episode, but when Ahsoka is first talking to Grogu, or talking right through their mind, through the Force or whatever, it's kind of like a wide shot, and they're like sitting by that like lantern thing, and it's really hard to see because it was so dark, but I forgot what it's called, but her like owl bird thing is sitting on a branch, like
That's
on a
cool.
tree right by her. And I thought that's a really cool attention to detail. I also want to say, to get away from maybe the negatives, I did really love seeing her white lightsabers in live action. That was really cool. We've never seen
They got the
white
noise right
lightsabers.
too.
Yes, the noise was awesome. And I think we all need to take a moment to appreciate seeing Beskar Steel defend against lightsabers. I had read about it like a long time ago. I think I read about how it, like during the Jedi versus Mandalorian wars, that's why Mandalorians are so fit to fight Jedi and kill Jedi, because they can defend against their lightsabers. But I had totally forgotten it, and we had never seen it either. And so I thought that was really cool to see him just like use his gauntlets to fight back, or I guess to defend himself. That was really cool. And then my absolute favorite part of this episode was that super silent standoff between the Mandalorian and that like mercenary dude.
Yeah.
That was so Western and so cool. And the thing I loved about it was that back and forth between Ahsoka's fight and Mando.
Mhm.
But like when you went to Mando, you could still hear Ahsoka's fight, but it was still so eerie and silent. And the whole time, Mando is just standing there, like with his hand over his gun, just staring at this guy. And the
He's
guy's
just
like,
standing there menacingly.
and then just like the guy putting down his like shotgun thing, which was also cool, a blaster shotgun with a spray. That was cool.
Yeah.
But then reaching for his gun, and then Mando just like instantly. I thought that was really cool.
And I love that he had like a smile on his face too, like I got him. And I'm
Yeah.
like, no, you don't.
Because he's like,
Like,
yeah.
I'm
man.
distracting him by putting down my
Oh, got him so good, bro.
He's not gonna see this coming.
I have some interesting possibilities on Jedi that they could be referring to as possible Jedi to come into the show. These are the Jedi in canon that have survived the purge that are of note, right? The biggest one on my list, on the list here, is Quinlan Voss, who was in the Clone Wars series. He's mentioned there. He's a Jedi that they
episode 1.
He's a Jedi that they send undercover near the end of the Clone Wars, right before Order 66, and he actually appears in the Rebels TV show as a name on the list of the Grand Inquisitors as a possible surviving Jedi. So it's not confirmed whether or not he actually is alive or not, but due to his undercover mission at the time, there's a possibility of that. That could be really interesting. I think he would fit the show because he's a very like gruff, tough, kind of not a normal Jedi. Like he doesn't go about things in the normal Jedi way, and he has issues with the Jedi Order, which is why he really was okay with the undercover mission. That's interesting. The librarian survived, according to Disney canon now. In Legends, she was killed in the Jedi Temple, but Disney canon brought her back in a comic series, apparently.
Interesting.
And her knowledge of the Jedi Order, along with her mind tricks, helped her evade the clones, according to the comic. So that's kind of interesting. And then
she probably knew about Grogan too.
That's true.
She was in charge of all the records and everything.
Yep. And then the only one, this one is only mentioned in canon or in Legends, nothing in canon, but it's Kakruk, who was on a different planet training younglings, and actually has a whole group of younglings that he is looking over in the Legends continuity, and he was a master. So that's really it. I don't think they're going to bring in this alien guy with the weird name, but I think the librarian would have knowledge of him, like Dan was saying. That could be interesting. Or Quinlan Voss, I think, would fit the show well with the way that his attitude is. So I don't know. That's kind of interesting.
And then, I mean, we also have, like Dan said, we have Cal Kestis as a possibility.
Yeah.
We have, and also from the show Rebels, we have the possibility of it being a Force ghost. We really do. It could be anyone. Because of
Qui-Gon.
Honestly, yeah. I mean,
That'd be tight.
Speaking of Qui-Gon, I read that to this day, Liam Neeson, he defends Episode 1, like with his life. He loves that. He was like, it was a fun movie. I had a good time. And I was like, respect.
I love that, man.
I love it too.
He's great, man. But in Rebels, when Kanan first takes Ezra to the Jedi Temple on Lothal, Yoda appears to both of them, or not both of them, but one of, I think, just to Ezra.
Yeah.
As a Force, well, he appears to him not as a Force ghost, but as just like a voice, I think, at first, and then he later goes there again, and he appears as a Force ghost. And Yoda also appears to Ahsoka as a Force ghost at one point in the show. And so and from what Ahsoka was saying, she told Mando to take Grogu to a Jedi temple and place him on the Seeing Stone. And so I feel like that'll be, I feel like it'll be more of like a Force spiritual experience where he's just like, he meditates or something, and then this Force Ghost will appear. Now, I'm curious to know if will Mando be able to see this Force Ghost? Because I don't think we've ever had a Force Ghost appear to somebody who wasn't a Force user in
Sure.
any of Star Wars, at least to my knowledge, with shows, books, and movies. So I don't think I wonder if that's even a thing. Can Force Ghosts appear to non-Force users? Can they see them? Because they
That's why
don't
I've never
have
seen
this-
Ghost Yoda. It explains everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, we do know. Lego Star Wars. When you
Oh,
play
gosh.
as Ghost Yoda or anything, none of the enemies can see or hit you.
I don't think Lego Star Wars is
Confirmed.
necessarily canon.
Confirmed. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm actually very excited for the whole Star Wars Lego collection to come out, and I'm going to buy it, and I'm going to play all of them, and I'm going to platinum every single iteration of that game. Because I did that with the Lego Harry Potter game, and that took so long.
That game's
Can I just
hard.
tell you?
Yeah.
Like, it took 5 ever
Yeah.
to get that crap done,
Yeah.
and a lot of Googling. No offense, but like, I needed to Google some crap. Yeah, I don't know. Sadly, if they bring Luke into it, we still have to do our duty and report on the show,
No, I'm
even
just
though
gonna
we're
skip
not going to
over it.
like it.
I'm gonna be like, oh, who was that guy? Oh, doesn't matter. Bye, and then move on because I don't like Luke.
Grogu
I've
is
never-
now being
since I was a
Chapter
kid, I
15,
hated him.
Grogu is now being trained by a mysterious Jedi that we've never heard of
Hermit.
before. It's Luke.
Yeah.
It's he's a
Luke are we
hermit.
getting, though? Are we getting like original trilogy Luke, or are we getting whatever the heck sequels?
It would
Luke
have to
was?
be
It
an
would
in-between.
be it'd be somewhere in the middle.
Well, it could
The
be. You know, in Episode 8 when Luke like projects himself and fights Kylo.
Mhm.
It could be like that because I feel like that was a projection of like a younger, like in between self. So it could be like that. But I'm not even going to talk about that because I don't want it. I don't want Luke. No,
Don't want it.
I don't want it, man.
No.
but
Get outta
here's the-
here.
Shut it down.
Shut it down.
I do have this. I sort of brought it up earlier, but with how the story's going, Boba Fett, like how
I totally forgot about him.
Exactly,
Like,
and-
honestly, I forgot.
and also, and I think that's what they want, right? I kind of think they want you to forget about
And
him.
he's just gonna show up and pew pew.
But,
and
like,
then
what do you-
all-
I
the show's
don't know.
over.
What do you guys think? Like, how are they gonna fit Boba Fett into this story? At least into this.
He's gonna
season?
kill Ahsoka.
Oh, I thought Ahsoka was gonna die during her
Well,
fight.
she has to die.
She has to
she was
die.
in. She was one of the voices Ray heard.
Yeah. Oh, and
Well,
that's another
that-
thing I didn't like. Her voice was played by Ashley Eckstein in Episode 9 when Ray was hearing voices and heard Ahsoka. So it's not Ahsoka anymore. So
Rebels. It's never been confirmed, but I am 90% sure that Ahsoka did not survive her conflict with Anakin
Reb-
in the Rebels show.
Rebels confirmed that actually. Did you ever?
They
finish
did
Rebels,
confirm.
too?
Well, you're saying that she has to die, but she wouldn't die there.
Rebels. Rebels is before this show.
When I thought Rebels takes place.
Takes place during the rebellion. It takes place like 4, 5, and 6, basically.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Like
I
the very
got my
end of the
timeline
show.
off.
The very end of the
Three
show
sisters.
is after the Battle of Endor.
Okay, I have my timeline off. Then.
Yeah. So she has to die. So I thought she was gonna die in her fight with that lady, who was a surprisingly good fighter. Weirdly, she's better than like the Inquisitors, which I find dumb. But she like when she lost one of her lightsabers, I was like, they're gonna kill her, and I was like, I mean,
Kind of okay with it.
I was kind of okay with it, but I was also like, man, she's dying to this no-name chick, right? Like she's dying to this lady who's like out of
And then
nowhere.
Mando's just gonna pop over and pew. And
Yeah.
it's all.
Yeah, gets all the credit, and he's like, that Beskar spear is mine. But I thought she was gonna die, but yeah, that was that was another bit of beef I had because Ashley Eckstein played the voice for Ahsoka as a voice Rey heard in episode 9. And so now it's like, well, that's not actually Eckstein's voice. Like, that doesn't even sound like Ahsoka. So that's not Ahsoka. Opinion. I'm opinionated. I'll say it.
You know, Logan doesn't get nitpicky about a lot of things.
I'll get nitpicky
Like
about this.
he gets, but you and Ahsoka Tano are you get as nitpicky about that as I did about the Harry Potter crap that you always made fun of me for.
I love Ahsoka. Like, she's one of probably my top 5 favorite characters in Star Wars. Period. She's just like the funnest character from the very first time we saw her in the Clone Wars movie, and then throughout just watching her grow throughout that series, and then seeing her in Rebels is just one of the coolest story arcs or character arcs ever made, in my opinion, and then ever made for sure in Star Wars. And so I feel like she needs to be like this protected character because as much as I love Star Wars, they do mess up characters. They will mess them up after having them for a long time. And so it worries me. Yeah. I'll fight I'll go to San Francisco and I will knock on Lucasfilm's door and I'll be like and I'll fight him with all my strength. Yeah.
With all of my might.
Yeah.
Dance battle.
Ooh, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Ultimately, I think that this episode was good. I think the stuff that we learned, clearly, like the big thing for me was not only that Thrawn is alive and
I totally knew.
around. What?
I totally knew he was alive. There's no way he was gonna die.
But
here's what I learned from Game of Thrones: if you don't see them die, they're not dead.
Not dead. Same thing with Moff Gideon. I was like, he's not dead. The first episode of the show, or like the season finale of season 1.
Yeah.
What I was gonna say is it clearly shows that not only is Thrawn alive, but he is thriving to the point that he has apprentices of some kind of ilk with this lady. So he's got to have more. I mean, he wouldn't just have one random magistrate under his command. And this is literally just thought of this right now, throwing it out in the dark. Maybe Moff Gideon is actually working for Grand Admiral Thrawn. Just a thought.
Probably.
Could be interesting. Could be a way to bring everybody back together because you got the OG crew going against Gideon, who inadvertently are going against Thrawn, and then you can bring in the other Mandalorians that are also not a huge fan of Gideon and Thrawn, and Ahsoka could come back in. Like that could be a way that they kind of swirl it all into a big ball of mess.
Yeah.
And death.
That's true. I mean, Thrawn
And
is,
death.
from what I've read from the Thrawn books, and then seeing Thrawn in Rebels, Thrawn is a mischievous dude and very intelligent. Smart. Yeah. And he also kind of does his own thing. Yeah. I mean, he like I think like what we had always seen is the only person he like ever took orders from, even when he was like a lower rank, was Emperor Palpatine. That's what it seemed like. He would always sort of be like, well, I know what's better. I'm going to do this. And so it could go two ways. This whole thing is about them trying to find like that whole Snoke. There's a lot of Snoke theories about from last episode with the, what is it called?
The back to tanks?
Yeah, those back to tanks and stuff.
Pod racing.
Yeah.
Now that's what I call pod racing.
Yeah, so like there's theories that they're trying to like, it's like Palpatine saying, hey, I need you to figure this stuff out. It could be that, or it could be something else. And I could see it going that way where Thrawn is pulling the strings by order of Emperor Palpatine, or Thrawn is like, Palpatine's dead. I'm the only one who's fit to rule this empire. Yeah. I'm in charge now. Or I'm the captain now. And And so he's pulling the strings, and I don't know why he wants to do this back to tank thing, but it could go that way. I don't know. It'll be I don't know. I don't really want Thrawn in it, but if they're going to do it, it is. Wow, why does my voice keep cracking?
Well,
If they're gonna do it, it
think
will be interesting.
I don't know if Thrawn himself will be directly tied to the Bacta experiments. I think maybe Thrawn has ordered Gideon figure out some way.
Say that again. It
I don't
got
know.
choppy for a second.
I got sorry. Thrawn possibly could have been instructing Gideon and giving him orders to come up with some way to either preserve life in some kind of weird way, or to come up with a new super soldier or something along those lines. And that could be a whole Gideon thing that Thrawn doesn't necessarily is not tied directly to, because I feel like Thrawn, as much as he not a great guy, he
He's
does live by
honorable.
a code. He has a code.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that he would be on board with that kind of experimentation.
Yeah.
Just with what we know about him, because he's evil in his own, but he's evil with justice. Like he's
Well-
like, it's like an interesting like anti-hero almost, because like he has his own form of how he thinks he should go about doing things.
He's a very respectable villain, and he
like Dan.
yeah, like Dan.
Yes, that's me.
But he's also, the reason I think he is bad is because of his obsession with power.
Mm.
You know, he loves power, loves being in
Greed.
charge.
Yeah.
I have one thing that we all missed, and I didn't know until later. I saw somebody from Instagram post it from the episode The Siege, the last episode. In the background, when they're on Navarro, in that little town there, in the background, they had erected a statue of IG. Is it 11
Aw.
or 88? IG 11.
IG number.
Yes, that guy. They
69.
made us. They basically took the parts from his body after he had been killed and made a
Exploded.
statue of him in honor of him because he saved the day, basically.
That's
So there's
awesome.
Like a statue in the
That's cool.
the center of the whole town. I thought that was cool.
I'm not crying. You're crying.
A statue made from his corpse.
Yep.
That's how you commemorate someone.
I'm gonna write that in my will.
Thank you, man. Please make a statue of my corpse, from my corpse. Good grief.
Just like a scare.
Yeah. I don't really have much else to share on the episode. I'm excited to see where it's going to go. Also, I have my hesitations and some trepidation. So we'll see if they decide to ruin my life or not.
Yeah, I've been pretty negative about this episode, but I do want to say it was a good episode. Like, it was good storytelling. It was fun. I loved like I said, I loved the darkness of it. There's just those aspects that I didn't like.
I want a closer look at those alien things that were walking around out there. I want to know what the freak those little monsters he kept seeing on his scope
Oh.
were that were just walking around that looked
Eating
like
the
freaking.
dead trees.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
like,
that was
what are
cool.
those?
Yeah.
I want to know. And
Yeah.
all I heard was like, "Roar," in the
And then, like,
distance.
As it
Yeah,
ate
and
a
the
tree.
crunch.
Yeah.
Crunch.
But yeah, I'm not done with the Mandalorian. Like, I'm not like I'm done. I'm done with Star Wars. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm gonna watch it.
Boycott
The only time I would boycott it is if they threw in Luke Skywalker, and then I'm like, I'm done. That's when I'm
Or Ray.
I'm so done. Or anybody from the sequel trilogy, really.
Yeah.
Just like, please don't. Just leave it. But
It's Ben Solo. Before he became Kylo Ren.
it's Jade. What's her name? Jada Skywalker, or whatever.
Yeah.
Mara Jade.
Mara Jade.
Mara Jade. Yeah.
The Emperor's hand.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
Yeah.
There you go. I have an update on how horribly addicted I am to Assassin's Creed Valhalla if we want to go down that path.
Keyword
Wait,
on
before we
that
do
is
that-
horribly addicted.
I think we can all agree that the Mandalorian's going to end up dueling Moff Gideon at the
Yeah.
end of the season.
In
He's
some
got the
capacity.
Beskar spear. Moff Gideon has a dark saber. They're
It's
gonna try to
interesting thought.
poke each other.
And
Pokey
who
pokey.
knows if it will be at the end of this season, but it will happen
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
100%.
But now that
It has to.
because we had formalized that we thought Mando might get a lightsaber to fight Gideon, but now he doesn't need one
What if-
because he's got that spur.
What if he's the Jedi? He wins the
Um,
dark saber.
Stop.
Comes second Mandalorian
Everybody's a
Jedi.
Jedi.
The Jedi.
Wasn't episode 8 called The Last Jedi?
Yeah.
oof. Did we see at the end of the episode? The only question I have, and I didn't see it, but did Ahsoka get her lightsaber back?
I looked very hard to see, and she was wearing her like poncho thing, so I couldn't
Yeah.
even see one lightsaber. I was really looking because that
Be
would
really lame. She's like, I got water in it. It's broken. Like it's just
Ah, my one weakness.
Yeah, but we know no because lightsabers work underwater. We know that from Clone Wars.
That's true.
only Kit Fistos.
No, because Anakin and Obi-Wan were using, and Ahsoka were using their lightsabers underwater.
I
when they
thought it
happened
was
to
just
Mon Cala.
Kit.
Mm-mm.
I thought that his was like specifically made for that.
No, they were all.
I thought I
using
read
it.
that somewhere.
Well, you read.
I'm
wrong.
dumb.
Yep.
All of my information is wrong today. I
Except
am
for
the
the,
Got the worst.
big
except for
dumb.
the what was it? The nerd word or something?
Oh, the word of the nerd.
The
The,
word
word
of
of
the
nerd.
nerd.
I can't. I
You gotta
can't
write
even.
it down because that's a good sign off.
We'll have to listen to it back now, and it's at the beginning of the episode, so we'll find it.
It's like the word with purred from Parks and Rec.
You
The
heard
nerd was with the
purred.
word.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of my crippling depression, I mean addiction to Assassin's Creed Valhalla, those are interchangeable words. I repeat myself. Yeah. Logan,
yeah.
how many hours do you have in
Um,
Valhalla?
I actually would have more. I just want to go on record there. I would have more, but for Thanksgiving I went out of town, so I couldn't play for 3 days. But I'm sitting at like I think around 30 or 31, which is actually a lot because I think last
That's
week I was at
respectable.
20 or something like that.
That's very
good.
respectable.
Yeah.
Just so everyone's clear, I'm sure most people who listen to our show play video games of some capacity.
Yeah.
And like an average game is a 30 to 40 hour experience.
Yeah.
Like say the Spider-Man game on PS4, even platinuming the whole thing like I did, showing off.
Weird flex. but okay.
Weird flex, but okay. It took I think 42 hours. And that was the entire game. Thank you, Dan. So yeah, just to put that in comparison to some other games, so 30 hours is a lot of time
Yeah,
to put into any
and I'm
game.
not even close to finishing this game. Not even close.
Dan, how are you doing with Assassin's Creed?
I have reached the answer to life, the universe, and everything. 42 hours in.
What a reference.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't heard that one in a while. Yeah, y'all got some rookie numbers. You got to bump those numbers up.
Or we're just respectable numbers and you got the problem.
Yeah, I'm at 63
Let's ask
hours.
your wife.
63 hours.
63 hours. I doubled the amount of time that Logan has spent in the
Yeah.
game. And I almost have a 24-hour gap between Dan and myself.
6
Which
more hours.
literally means that I have sat on my butt and played a game for an entire day longer than Dan and Logan.
You've been sitting there for almost 3 days, man.
I know. And guess what? I'm nowhere near being done with the game.
Wow.
But I also have a crippling need to loot every single scrap of anything that I can in these kind of games. And so it takes me a very long time to get through any chunk.
I also want
But
to
yeah,
put
there-
that in perspective really quick. 63 hours. Last week, he was at 37. And Dan was at 32, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Mhm.
So to put that in perspective, he's almost doubled that last week to 63. And Dan has a respectable amount from 32 to, what was it,
42.
42. So
42.
a solid 10 hours right there, where Brian crunched in a lot more.
30 hours.
That's the perspective. That gap.
I have a problem.
It was like in the movie Secretariat when that one dude was riding his back, and then he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna tire this guy out," and then Secretariat was like just gaining and gaining, while the other horse was like, "I can't believe this is happening." Brian's Secretariat, while Dan is this horse, and then I'm the horse that like was passed like 6 years ago, and I'm like, "See you at the finish line." Yeah,
Meg, hold the spot for me.
yeah.
You want to know what's kind of disturbing on top of all of it? I've also been watching the Vikings TV show. I'm halfway through season 2. That started at the same time I started watching or started playing the game, as well as I've listened to an entire audiobook about Norse mythology during that
Oh,
period of time.
is it a good
My
book?
dreams are plagued with
heathen?
Vikings. I literally woke up and apparently in my sleep told my wife I am dreaming way too much about Vikings and then fell asleep.
Well, what was the
Brian?
book actually?
It's called
I wanna know.
Norse mythology. I'll have to look up what the author was, but it's like a storytelling version of like the most notable myths in
Yeah.
Norse mythology. So it's not like a historical telling.
That's what
It's
I've
like
been looking for.
it's almost like a child's like bedtime story
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of telling of those, but it's not dumbed down. Like it's
Yeah.
got some good stuff in it. Very
Yeah,
good.
I've been looking for a book like that for Norse stuff. Let me know.
Cool.
What were you gonna
Brian,
say,
once
Dan?
you reach 6 days of game time, you'll have played a video game longer than some wars have lasted.
Perspective.
Okay. I don't think I'll hit 6 days.
I do.
That's over 140 hours.
I mean, you're only at 60. I mean, you're already, sorry, not only, you're already at 63.
Yes, but I can tell that I think I have reached the precipice of the game and I'm on the downturn. I
Okay.
believe.
The
At least the way
climax.
that it's shaking up. I feel like I'm getting to a large clash. The thing that's going to take time is just getting all the nitpicky stuff done at the end.
Yeah.
I told Dan that I like to have my last mission lined up, do everything, and then when I finish the last mission, have the platinum
It's
trophy
done.
pop up.
Yeah.
I
Smart.
don't like going back and doing things after the fact because it just is boring. Like it just seems like a chore at that point. But if I do it along the way, it's like there's a carrot dangling in front of me
Yeah.
to get me there.
Yeah. Like the pig in Minecraft. You have to have
Uh-huh.
a fishing pole with a carrot on the end to ride it.
Get on steak.
Well, we're hitting a solid time here. Are there any last words? Whether it's about Valhalla or about the Mandalorian episode or anything else.
Yeah, I gotta go get some pictures, dude.
Get some pictures, did.
Get them pictures,
Done.
dear boy.
What about you, Dan?
Shout out to those boys in Ireland.
There was
As
another
always.
one. Wasn't there one in like Singapore or something like that?
I think
Yeah,
India.
that was.
No, we had India already. It was Ireland, India,
mean,
but I think there's a new one in
I think
Singapore.
it's Singapore. Yeah, hold on, let me.
Yeah.
Shout out to all those guys or girls, gals.
Oh, we've picked up the United Kingdom as well,
Woo!
Heck yeah.
and Ireland is now at a solid 1%, not less than 1%. So.
Heck yeah.
Look at that. If
Shout out those
if you
boys.
are that guy in Ireland, I really want you to join the Discord because I just really want to talk to you. Like I just
Yeah.
want to I want to know who you are.
And we can. No, never mind. I'm not gonna say that. Yeah, we want you on our Discord. And again, I'm gonna say this. I don't have any really last words about the stuff we talked about. But like Brian was saying, join our Discord, please. It's fun. We throw memes all the time in here.
Please.
We have a video game section full of different video games. If you want things added, let us know, like channels and stuff. We have other like a whole category for just nerdy stuff. Star Wars, Harry Potter, whatever. And give us suggestions. It really helps us build the podcast a little more and make it better. This was a fun episode. I think we made some solid points. And
Me too.
I know Dave Filoni listens to our podcast. So Dave, make the changes, make the fixes, do it right. We love you. You're the best. Same with
Cool
you,
guy.
John Favreau. But really fun episode. Had a fun time. Thank you for listening very much. Man, I really want to get that sign off right. And this was
We'll get it next time.
the word of the nerd. That just didn't seem
Something like
natural.
that.
We'll figure it out. But thanks. Bye.
The words from the mouth of the nerds.
There you did. You nailed it. Crushed it.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye.
The Council of Nerds.